Every who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton, but where to get great prices on gifts they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and low prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Karr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show. And with me right now, I've got a very special guest. He has competed for numerous promotions across the world and has been a motivational speaker. I am pleased to welcome the one and only Giant Warrior, Jeff Bearden. Welcome to Wrestling with Heart.
Thanks. Good to be here.
All right. So talk to me about your childhood. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Amarillo, Texas. So I went to school with all of Dory Funk Jr.'s kids. So that was kind of how I got involved with the wrestling at an early age and stuff, as I was friends with the Funks, Dory and Terry. And then, like I said, I went to school with their kids, and my dad was Dory's oldest son's football coach.
So amazing how all that kind of plays into each other here. Now, were you always a fan of wrestling?
Oh, yeah. I started watching with my great-grandfather when I was probably 6.
6 years old.
You know, and then I was living in Lubbock, Texas at the time, which was still another city in the Funk territory and stuff for Western states. And then once we moved to Kenya, I went to school with Dory's kids and stuff. They used to leave me tickets every week for the local wrestling matches. So I went every week. I was able to go unless I had a basketball game or something like that, to where I just wasn't able to make it.
You were addicted to it. I mean, it's...
Oh, yeah.
Who are some of your favorites to watch growing up?
Oh, growing up, well, of course, Dory and Terry, Dick Murdoch, Ricky Romero. Those were probably the main ones. But I mean, I got to see a lot of big names and stuff come through the Amarillo territory. Harley Race, Abdullah the Butcher, Ox Baker, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair. So I got to see all those guys and stuff growing up. Yeah,
Texas was a big wrestling territory, and so many people came from there. Basketball, I know I did a little bit of research on you. You were playing basketball during your childhood. Talk to me about how you felt transitioning into the world of pro wrestling. Did you feel that your time playing basketball helped prepare you for your time in the squared circle?
Well, I felt like it helped with my coordination a lot and stuff. I was able to move pretty good for a 7-foot guy. I think one of the biggest drawbacks is when I started, I looked like a basketball player. I was 7 foot and about 270 maybe. So I was really, really thin. And, so it just took me some time and stuff to get some weight on and everything else.
Now, Did you know at a young age being a wrestler is what you wanted to do? Was that a dream of yours from childhood?
Yeah, I think like a lot of kids and stuff, you've got those crazy dreams and stuff. I want to be a professional basketball player. I want to be a professional wrestler. I talked to Dory and Terry and stuff about being a wrestler when I was in high school. And they both told me and stuff that they would be glad to train me and stuff, but I had to get a college degree first. So they wanted to make sure I had something to fall back on in case the wrestling career didn't work.
And so you decided you wanted to pursue the business, breaking in. I've talked to several people on the show. It is a grind. You really have to discipline yourself as much as you possibly can to be successful in the wrestling business. What was your story like learning how to wrestle and walk me through the training process?
I had a little bit of a different way into the business, I guess, through Dory. Dory, the first day that we went to training and stuff, had me get on my hands and knees and stuff. He waist locked me and stuff, said, okay, now get away. And there was no getting away from Dory. So I had no idea what I was doing to even get away. And he told me and stuff after that. He said, well, now this is called a shoot. Now I'm going to teach you how to work. And so we went right into, running the ropes, basic bumps, things like that. And then about halfway through my training and stuff, Dory moved to Florida because we were training in Charlotte. And so Dick Murdoch took over training me, after Dory moved. So it was two completely different styles of how they both looked at the business and stuff. But I mean, it was, it was a good thing. I enjoyed getting to kind of learn two different sides of the business. We were training at Nelson Royal's barn and stuff that he had a ring and everything else. So Nelson worked with me some too. And so I got kind of the best of all worlds and stuff training with those guys.
When you talk about differences here between the styles of training, talk to me about the philosophies that both men had and how you were able to kind of um, transition.
Well, Dory was a very scientific wrestler. He did a lot with holds and wrestling and, submissions and things like that and stuff. Murdoch was a little out there sometimes and stuff. He had a more of a wilder style. Now, Dory could, Dick could trade holds and wrestle scientific with anybody, but he kind of taught me and stuff the little more aggressive style and stuff that I ended up with and stuff as I got going.
Yeah, I mean, you really, it hurts when you're on that mat, taking those bumps.
Oh,
Um,
sure.
do you remember any of the drills that you got to do with both of your trainers? And was there any pieces of advice that you took away from your training experience that you still apply to today after wrestling?
Uh, I learned to work hard and kind of develop my own confidence, which helped a lot with different things in life afterwards.
Confidence is definitely something that's important. You gotta, not only you gotta want it, but you gotta feel in your heart that you can put in the effort. And
Right,
so, running the ropes and doing the drills, uh, and perfecting it, knowing that you're doing this move correctly, it just goes a long way. And be able to have those experiences, putting in the work and putting in the reps, um, takes so much practice to be able to do
right.
it. So, all right. So, talk to me about your first match in the business.
Oh my gosh.
First few matches. What were they like?
My first match was in Albany, Georgia for Jim Crockett Promotions. And I was working with Robert Gibson's brother, Ricky Gibson. And, we had trained in a barn and stuff in February and stuff in North Carolina. So it was cold, and I was always in sweats and, everything else and stuff to go through the matches or go through training. And then that first match when I got out there and stuff, I took my ring jacket off and it's like, I'm out here in my underwear, so it was kind of a daunting thing. to be in front of, several thousand people and, with, just my trunks and my boots. So that was a little intimidating and stuff, but, thankfully and stuff, Ricky took good care of me and stuff and kind of led me through everything. And, we ended up having a decent little match except for my first match.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, adjusting because you're in front of a lot of people and you're trying to show them, impress them, your techniques and holds and everything like that. So you really have to, you know, put your best foot forward when you're out there in front of an audience.
Right.
Um, Now you got to wrestle all over the world, not just in the United States. But talk to me about some of the places you got to wrestle in over the years.
I got to have a pretty good career in Mexico. I mean, throughout my career, I worked for all three of the major offices in Mexico. I started with CMLL, which was Arena Mexico's show. Um, I had to learn a little bit different style. It's for my size, it didn't make sense for me to get out there and trade holds with people. So I became more of a brawler, that type of aggressive type style and stuff, more like a Bruiser Brody type. You know, so I mean that was really good experience. Got to spend 6 months in Mexico City and stuff, and I got to work every night, and that just really helps you learn. I broke my arm, ended up coming home for a little while and stuff, had surgery. Once that was healed up, I went to Canada and worked for Tony Condello and stuff on one of the Hell tours and stuff that was up on like the Arctic Circle, and we did all the traveling in a yellow school bus. So if you've ever traveled on a yellow school bus in the winter and stuff, those things are not warm. And so I did that. Then I did a couple of shows and stuff for Bill Ash that used to make all the wrestling boots. And the guy that I was working with was Skywalker Nitron and stuff, who now more people know him as Tyler Mane and stuff, that's done the X-Men movies, the Halloween movies. And Bill pulled us together and said, y'all thought about maybe doing a tag team and going to Japan. And so Bill had me call Dory and stuff, and I talked to Dory about it. So we put together a tag team, and we were trying to get some experience and stuff because, both of us didn't have a whole lot of experience, and we didn't have any experience together as a tag team. So Dory put me in touch with Carlos Colon down in Puerto Rico. And we went, there's an angle and stuff set up for me to go in and work with Abdullah. Abdullah would bring his partner from Japan and such, which was Kamala #2, or Eki Malumba, I believe is what he worked with in Puerto Rico. And then I was bringing my partner in and stuff, so we are going to have a little thing going into the Japanese tour. But, there's a payday problem and stuff with Abby and stuff, so Abby didn't come back. And they never brought Daryl in to tag with me, so they just kept me. And that's where I got the name Giant Warrior and stuff. Carlos gave me that one. I wasn't overly comfortable with it in the beginning because I felt like there were, you had the Ultimate Warrior, you had the Road Warriors, that were all wearing makeup as well. So I wasn't really that comfortable and stuff with it in the beginning and stuff, but I got used to it, and that just became my persona.
And you got to work so many people over the course
Oh
of
yeah.
your career. Who have been some of your favorite opponents that you've gotten to step in the ring with over the years?
Probably the biggest name that I got to be in the ring with was Andre the Giant.
Hmm.
I would have loved to have wrestled against Andre, and we wrestled in that tag team tournament in Japan, but I was still pretty inexperienced and stuff. And I would have loved to have had a match with Andre 5-6 years down the road in my career, and probably about 20 years back in Andre's and stuff, back when he could really move and do some amazing stuff for a guy that size. I think I could have learned a whole lot if I could have worked with Andre, night after night and stuff like that.
What was he like to be around backstage?
Very aloof with me. I mean, I guess I got a little bit of a rub and stuff because the Funks trained me, and Andre was real close with them and stuff. So, I mean, he was probably a little friendlier with me and stuff, but he wasn't very friendly with the young guys and stuff that he didn't know. He always stuck with the guys he knew.
But you got to work so many other people as well.
Oh, Terry Gordy, Steve Williams, Stan Hansen, Danny Spivey, the British Bulldogs, Johnny Ace, Abdullah. And then, through working in Puerto Rico and stuff, I got to work several matches with Abdullah, and I loved to work with Abby. I mean, that was more the style I was used to, the punch and kick and let's bleed and, everything else. I got to work with Kamala there. I got to work with Barbarian and developed a really good relationship with Barbarian because we traveled with each other to throughout the UK and, India and various places working with him and stuff. And that was always a pleasure. And I learned a lot and stuff from working with Barb.
What kinds of things did you, pieces of information or advice from the Barbarian that you were able to get from your time working with him?
Timing was a really good thing and stuff with him and Abdullah both. They really did a lot to teach me timing and stuff of, when to do things. It's not always what you do, but when you do it and how you do it. So I got to learn that from them. And, I learned a lot more about fire, because I worked babyface and stuff with them.
Hello, I'm Diane Morgan. If you know who I am, you know who I am. If you don't, who cares? I'm here to explain Italian Time, a holiday phenomenon where Italians throw away their clocks and gather for eternity with San Pellegrino. I've been at this party so long that I've eaten 5 courses, hugged someone's grandma twice and been offered a job in the family restaurant. So this holiday season, make sure to bring enough San Pellegrino to last you through the meal, the after meal and the entire goodbye ritual. San Pellegrino, holiday on Italian Time.
So they taught me a lot about that.
Favorite country you got to work in?
Oh gosh, I worked in like 25. Probably South Africa. I really loved South Africa. I eventually ended up moving down there and helped with doing the booking and stuff for about 5 years in South Africa. And looking back and stuff, it may not have been the greatest career move because when I moved there, I stayed for 5 years. So I was kind of out of sight, out of mind, because at that time and stuff, South Africa really wasn't on the radar and stuff of any of the wrestling offices, the wrestling fans, things like that. So I may have shot myself in the foot a little bit, but I loved it there. I loved everything and stuff about South Africa, the people, the lifestyle.
You learn a whole different culture anywhere you go.
Right.
And I know I've talked to people on the show about differences of cultures wherever the people have wrestled in over the years. But anything about like South African culture that you found very interesting when you were living there?
I love the food. I love the people and stuff that were there. They were always very friendly and accommodating for me and stuff. A little bit different style than what we had in the States. That was the good thing I think that helped me with my career and stuff is the fact that I worked in so many different countries and worked so many different styles. I worked the lucha libre style and stuff in Mexico and stuff with, a lot of the high flying stuff, me doing a lot of catching and, things like that. Then you go to Japan and it was much more solid. A lot of nights and stuff, you got out of the ring, you knew you'd been in a match. South Africa and stuff, like I said, they had a little bit of a different style. They had, their fan base was very passionate. I got stabbed 5 times and stuff by spectators during my career and stuff. Once in Mexico City, once in Dominican Republic, and 3 times in South Africa.
Wow.
And by the time I, got into South Africa, I had my style down. I had a very aggressive type style. I had a lot of bloody matches, things like that stuff. And I mean, they were very passionate about their local heroes, and if I was cheating to get the better of their local heroes, they wanted to help and whatever they could and stuff. They would throw things. And like I said, I wrestled in Durban, South Africa 15 times. I had 11 police escorts out of the building.
They get into it.
Yeah, they really did. And I remember working in several different foreign countries where fans would come up to me and said, I hope you're ready for tonight and stuff because, our wrestling here is real. It's not like the fake stuff that y'all do in the United States. So I mean, and I heard that several places that I worked overseas.
Yeah, it's crazy because you really have to stay in character and try to be able to play the role as best as you can, but also like keep your wits about you because anything could happen at any time. You just got to be
Right.
prepared how to deal with it. That's so crazy. I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
Oh, it was just part of it. And there, the weird thing is I can remember being in the dressing room after I get stabbed and thinking to myself, I did my job good tonight. If I could get the people and stuff that wound up that they wanted to kill me, I did something right.
Did you prefer being a heel or a
Yes.
babyface?
Oh no, I preferred being a heel. Much easier.
I mean, for a big guy, I mean, your size, I mean, surely, I mean, that's just you get like develop that monster persona.
Right. And that was the thing that was a lot easier to do. It was a lot more believable to the people. One of the things and stuff when I was working babyface, I had to work with somebody like Barbarian or Abdullah or, guys that were big, aggressive, had their style and stuff because, as big as I was, people always expected, well, look how big he is. He can take care of himself. So it was hard and stuff to get a lot of fan sympathy and stuff at my size.
Yeah.
Now it was easy to piss them off at my size too. So it made it a lot easier and stuff for me to be a heel. And out of the 30 years I was a wrestler, I was probably a baby face, maybe 5 years total. And the rest of the time I was always a heel.
Do you keep up with the modern product at all today?
A little bit, not a lot. I'm not a big fan of today's wrestling because I mean, I kind of grew up with the 80s and 90s style wrestling and stuff back when we were still trying to make everything look as real as possible. And now and stuff, there's so much of this, the high flying and flips and flops and everything else and stuff that a lot of it doesn't make sense to me.
It's definitely changed over the years, and I think there's more. The cool thing about today is that there's a lot more alternatives for people to check out, and so they can see different things like big man
Right.
matches or small guys doing their thing, and I think it's good to have a bit of variety so that people can enjoy what they want to.
It is and stuff. And I mean, there is a variety, but a lot of it is still the same too, whether you're watching AEW or WWE and stuff. There's a lot of similarities between it as well. So, and things were a lot different. When I first started watching wrestling and stuff, it was, I got the local wrestling.
Hmm.
So it was whatever was going on in Amarillo and stuff in its little hub. And I never saw anything else and stuff unless I went to like my grandparents' house and could pick up local wrestling where they were. And I think once they went to cable television and stuff to where, I could be in Amarillo, Texas and stuff, and I'm seeing wrestling from Dallas. I'm seeing wrestling from Atlanta. I'm seeing wrestling from Florida. It's the Funks were always the big heroes in Amarillo and stuff, and I'd never seen them as heels, until I caught some wrestling and stuff from Georgia and from Dallas, and then it's just like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so it was, they weren't always the good guys everywhere they went. They were really just good guys at home. So I mean, I think that changed up the whole wrestling business a lot because people started getting a little bit smarter to it. And then, of course, the internet took over and everything got exposed.
It's the suspense of disbelief. You want to make people believe in those characters and
Right.
make them feel something, emotions, and get them all, invested in what's going on in front of them.
I mean, think about the modern product. When was the last time you really saw somebody get a hold and work a hold and stuff to where it looked like you're trying to break their arm? You don't see that anymore. We went with the believability factor and stuff of trying to make everybody think that what we were doing was real and we were trying to hurt each other. Now it's kind of hard to have that and stuff when it's, everybody's doing these big flips and flops and stuff everywhere and stuff, and then they bounce right back up from it, and here we go.
It's definitely changed.
Yes.
Now, outside of wrestling, I know you're very big on motivational speaking, and have in the past given speeches in schools, talked to kids. Talk to me about what made you decide to pursue that, and talk to me about your passion for doing this
Well,
kind of
I
venture.
used to, with different wrestling offices and stuff over the years and stuff, is like, go do, can you go and do a say no to drugs talk? Can you do a motivational, thing? So I did a few of those and stuff throughout my career, and it's kind of afterwards and stuff, I still wanted to be involved with kind of the kids and stuff. So I kind of developed a talk about being, accepting yourself, being unique because there's only one you. Um, and not to let things that or they're said by outside people and stuff that really have no factor in your life when you really look at it, and not let those people bother you. So that the bullying thing and stuff became a big thing at time and stuff. So I did a lot of anti-bullying talks. Now I don't do as many of them as I used to, but I'm still involved with, I own a ghostwriting and publishing company. So I still get involved with people that are writing books, all along those factors and stuff for motivational things. And, I enjoy working with people on that and helping them get their stories out there.
When you're going to these schools and you're talking to these kids, what are some of the messages, not only that you're telling them, but also do you get feedback from them at the end of your conversations?
I have had some feedback from some, from students and stuff along the way that seem to enjoy, what I had to say, and, the embracing yourself and embracing your uniqueness, and not, and then the anti-bullying things and stuff. A lot of them's like, you gave me some ideas and stuff that I hadn't thought about. So when I can get that kind of feedback and stuff from kids and stuff, I really appreciate it when they seem to be appreciative of me being there.
It's very hard when someone is going through a rough time in their life and someone else is trying to make them feel less than.
Right.
You want to be able to empower them and lift them up so that they are successful in life. Whatever they're about to do is makes them feel good.
That's why I kind of like doing what I call my uniqueness talks, because it let kids realize and stuff, hey, I am special and stuff, and it doesn't matter what other people say about me and stuff. It's what I think about myself, and I enjoy being able to give that piece of information to kids.
Was there a time where someone was giving you a hard time over something
Oh
and you
yeah,
were
I
able
mean,
to overcome it, and how did you deal with that?
well, I was a coach's kid, so that was always, sometimes a thing from other players. I was a starter and stuff because my dad was a coach. It wasn't because I was a good player and stuff. It's because my dad was a coach. That was the only reason. And I mean, my best friend's mother and stuff used to say that all the time and stuff. Oh, my son's so much better and stuff, but he didn't get a chance and stuff because he's not a coach's son. And I was an all-state basketball player, so I mean, I wasn't bad. Um, so yeah, I got that. So then, I mean, I was a tall, skinny kid. I graduated high school. I was 6'10", 190 pounds, I guess. So I mean, I was a stick, and I used to get a hard time from people and stuff about being so skinny and stuff. It's, oh, you can stick your tongue out and turn sideways and look like a zipper. So I got to hear stuff like that and stuff. I had to get to the point to where I just didn't let it bother me and just kind of considered the source and went on.
Yeah, and so you're paying it forward to the next generation by giving them helpful advice on how to deal with the bullies and how to deal with all kinds of situations where you don't know what you're doing, and you have to find it in you to be able to overcome those challenges.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I did the school talks and stuff. I'd speak at churches sometimes and stuff as well. And back to being unique, that was always my big thing and stuff, is that you are unique because there is nobody else out there like you. So embrace it.
What is it about giving back to the community that gives you the most joy?
Like I said, if I can go and speak to a school and stuff, and I've got one kid that it resonates with, then I'm happy with that. So being able to hear somebody come up to me and say, hey, I heard you speak and stuff, and I took this from it, and I've applied this to my life and stuff, and it's made things better, then I'm happy as can be.
Paying it forward, making the world a better place one step at a time.
One step at a time.
Well, this has been wonderful getting the chance to speak with you. I want to say thank you for coming on to Wrestling with Heart. It means a lot
No
to me
problem.
and
No
to my
problem.
listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find out more about you on social media? Do you have anything you want to plug? Feel free.
One of the big things that I want to plug is my Clarens Publishing and ghostwriting. We've written books for a lot of different people and stuff in a lot of different avenues. And so, we've done a lot of memoirs, we've done self-help books, we've done biographies, we've done children's books. So I mean that's a big thing and stuff right now, and stuff that I'm working with is just doing the ghostwriting company.
And how long have you been involved with that?
We also have a public relations company called At Large PR that, those are companies I do with my wife, Brittany. And we've been doing those for about 11 years now.
It's very cool. You're keeping busy with different platforms. And so you're able to make a difference in your community by releasing titles, and that'll really help people, overcome so much.
Yeah, and I mean, through our public relations company and stuff, we're able to try to help people get, their companies and stuff a lot more visibility than what they had and stuff.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, thanks again, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Oh, thank you. Anytime.
All right. Take care.
Stanley, take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here, wishing you a very happy half-off holiday, because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.